Donald Trump is the best thing to ever happen to Mark Carney. At least that's what he thinks. This is the Leak Spec podcast, guys. So, guys, I bet none of you watched what happened just recently today. The Prime Minister of Canada went down to the U.S., talked to the big bad orange man, and
everything's fixed and solved. Trade is solved. We're all saved, and everything's perfect.
Exactly, Adam. You've been paying attention to the news or whatever is the local or the politics of the world today. Michael Lee, pull up the story.
You mean the one that says Trump not sure what Carney wants to talk about at the White House meeting?
Yeah.
He doesn't know.
What is CTV telling us about the meeting that was today?
Well, what it says here is U.S. President Donald Trump says he's not sure what President Mark Carney wants to see me about ahead of tomorrow's meeting.
Yeah.
Trump and Carney are scheduled to speak at the White House on Tuesday in their first in-person meeting since Canada's election. The two leaders are expected to discuss the months-long trade war that has fractured their country's relationship and sieved their respective economies with uncertainty. I guess he wants to make a deal. Everybody does. The U.S. president told reporters in the Oval Office, where he's expected to host Carney, who moments later waved to cameras as he boarded a plane from Ottawa to Washington.
Yeah. All right, Michael Lee. We get the gist of it. You know.
So he went down there and they had a play date. And what came out of it? Anything? Did anything of note happen?
I mean, it is of note to notice that even the president of the U.S. didn't know why Prime Minister Carney was coming down there to see them. I mean, it's kind of interesting. And I sat through it, the whole 40 minutes or so of the discussion at the Oval Office there, and there wasn't a lot to say. I mean, Trump rambled on for at least half of that time. So, I mean, it probably was only worth 20 minutes worth of information. And then half the time, he just talked about American policy and the tariffs again. So, I don't know. In regards to Canada, I think the only reason, you guys, that Mark Carney went down there was basically to say that Canada is an independent sovereign nation. That's the only reason I can see they went down there, because they didn't talk about anything specifically. Unless, of course, like we've said before in the podcast after that Zelensky discussion that happened in that same room, maybe they actually had backroom discussions like politicians probably should have and just not have everything hashed out in front of the media. Because whatever you saw in the media, in the news, you know what? You listen to the conservative guys on YouTube, they're saying something completely like Trump destroys the liberal guy, whatever it is, right? And then you listen to the liberal media and they're saying like, you know, it's whatever, kind of like amazing situation for Carney, the way he handled Donald Trump. Completely partisan in either way you look at it. Like, nobody ever tells you that, like, the fact is it was a boring discussion. Not a whole lot happened. There was one instance, you guys. Donald Trump, or a reporter asked, I can't remember if it was Carney, but the both of them, basically asked, you know, is there going to be still talk of this 51st nation kind of stuff?
51st nation?
Or 51st state, yeah. And you know what? Donald Trump is still going ahead with that idea. It's still in the back of his mind. As much as Tom Mulcair on the CBC or CTV wants to, you know, say that, you know, Donald Trump is trying very hard and doesn't really believe that anymore, I don't think that's the case. Because if you look at the video, if you actually watch the video, he's basically sitting there saying, you know what? He says, never say never. You know, Carney says it is about Canada will never become the 51st state, but Donald Trump looks sideways and kind of cockeyed and is like, I don't really know about that. So in Donald Trump's mind, he doesn't really care what Mark Carney has to say, or any Canadian, basically. If it was Poilievre in the lead, he wouldn't care. You know, to him, it's still a good idea. So I don't know what they've really accomplished in terms of the trade talks and the USMCA, as they say. I don't know. Adam, do you have any thoughts of why the benefits of our prime minister going down and talking to President Donald Trump?
Well, I need to know something. Actually, the Michael Lee needs to know.
Okay.
Did he really destroy that liberal guy?
I mean, half the internet would tell you yes.
Ah, okay. So we don't know.
No, they're still alive.
Anyways, it's just all a big show. That's what it is. Like you said, he went down there to put on a big show for Canadians. Go, look at me. I'm all tough with my elbows up. I'm down here to tell this guy he can't take us over. and he doesn't, it turns out, really care that much. Because how much does Donald Trump really think about Canada, anyways? Other than when someone asks him about, and he shoots his mouth off a little bit. But
Yeah.
I feel like he is the American president, and he's a lot more worried about the U.S. than us. So if Carney goes down there, shows up, Trump doesn't know why he's there, Carney's probably putting on a show for the benefit of us. I think that's what it is.
You know what, Adam? You are 100% right. It was all entertainment. That's all it was. Because you know what? They actually did get a little bit into tariffs mostly. They were talking about the auto industry. And if you know what's happened with Stellantis here in Canada and Ontario specifically. But you know what? They were talking about how jobs are moving from Canada to the U.S. and corporations are moving, and Donald Trump's basically talking about how we don't need Canada's cars and we can make their own cars in the U.S. And he was still on that as of earlier today when he was meeting with Carney. Like, he firmly believes that the jobs should basically be in the U.S. And I don't think Mark Carney has had any persuasion on Donald Trump. That's unfortunately. I don't know. What kind of leverage does he have?
On that topic, I mean, he's not really going to move too many jobs to the U.S. He'll probably move a lot of automation to the U.S. He's going to spur these companies into investing in automation. They'll build factories in the U.S. They'll have more robots doing jobs that people were previously doing. So he'll kill jobs in Canada, but he's not really going to repatriate nearly as many of them as he's going to kill off. So I don't know if he's really going to achieve what he thinks he is. I don't know if he really understands this and doesn't care.
But I mean, the point of the discussion is Mark Carney went down there for some reason, as CTV said the day before last. Why?
Yeah, we don't know.
Why did he go down there?
We don't know what he achieved, so I was moving on.
to have a show, right? Your point that you made is the most educated observation. He's just going down there to make a show and saying, I'm doing the elbows up thing or whatever the boomers do.
We got to do more of that.
Yeah, that's what that apparently is called, you guys. When
that gets you a penalty.
That's true. When you basically do some kind of activism that doesn't actually matter. There's a term for it. I'm going to educate you guys today.
I don't know, because it doesn't matter.
Slacktivism. Slacktivism is a term of doing something that everybody gets behind that doesn't really have any effect. You know what?
It feels like you made that up.
I know, right?
I think he did.
I read about it today.
Slacktivism.
Yeah, they were talking about the boomers are really into their slacktivism.
Slacktivism. Leak Spec brought to you live in Slacktivism.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Everybody else is in HD and we're in Slacktivism. Yeah.
Excellent. That's big. Some big progress down there then today.
No, probably not.
Really?
I'm sorry to say.
I'm trying here, guys.
We were entertained a little bit.
No.
That's all we got. I don't know what to say. Well, I got one more story for you guys because there's a little bit of entertainment after the previous election we had here in Canada.
Uh-huh.
You know what that is?
You should tell us.
You should tell us, yes.
Pierre Poilievre. He lost his seat.
What?
Yeah.
No.
We knew that already.
That's right. We didn't know that already. But that means that if he is still to stay on as the conservative leader in the federal system, he has to get a seat to get back in the House of Commons so he can argue with Mark Connie. That's the way I'm calling him. Mark Connie.
Mark.
He has to have a seat, so that I want to see the two go at it.
But
they've gone over it.
Didn't someone give up their seat?
And that's the story, Michael Lee. Pull it up.
Yeah.
Pull it up.
All right, Josh, here we go.
What do we got?
Small town mayors excited Pierre Poilievre targeting seat in rural Alberta.
Tell us about it, Michael Lee.
Well, let's see what it says down here. The prospective new riding for the federal conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is home to wheat fields, dire bones, and of course Nickelback.
Heck yeah. I like this already.
It's also Tory country.
Love me a good wheat field.
Battle River Crowfoot in central Alberta is a long way from Ottawa. Sorry, from the Ottawa riding that Pierre Poilievre's home base for more than 20 years as he seeks to regain a seat in the House of Commons.
Damien Carrick, the hero, apparently.
Yes, Damien Carrick, a 3-time elected member of Parliament, is relinquishing his seat in Battle River Crowfoot to allow Polyev to run in a by-election there later this year. The Conservative Party of Canada announced it on Friday. Carrick walked to victory in Monday's election with 82% of the vote, one of the most lopsided races in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Polyev lost his seat in the Ottawa area riding of Carleton to Liberal candidate Bruce Fanjoy.
And that's about the detail that we really need to know.
That's
Thank
pretty
you,
much
Michael
about
Lee.
it. You are welcome.
Damien Carrick.
Yeah,
Good man.
apparently they're calling him a hero, firstly because he was about 20 days, I think, away from getting his government pension of millions of dollars.
Wait a second.
And he
Wait a second.
given
Adam has
up.
questions.
That's not the proper Jagmeet Singh way of doing things.
I know. Apparently, buy that man a beer because he won't have a government pension unless he finds another seat somewhere eventually and gets reelected, and that's how that works. So he's got to work a little harder for that. He didn't take the hand me out from the government on that front just for his own
That's not
will.
not Jagmeet approved.
But 82% was the margin that they won by. So obviously they are looking at that, giving Polyev the good chance that not too many people in the, what was it, Battle Hill, Crowfoot?
Battle River.
Battle River Crowfoot
I
area.
like the sounds of that Battle
I've
River.
never been to that area. I've been to Carleton Place, but I ain't going back there because they're too liberal for my liking now, apparently.
Some liberals are okay.
That's very few. But anyways, yeah.
Now you're just causing division.
Poilievre is going to probably be back in the House of Commons, but after this election. Good thing on Mark Carney, though, he did say that he would be allowing this by-election to go as soon as possible, which was probably going to be in about 6 weeks.
Hopefully
6 weeks.
he follows through on that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We always have to trust whether these politicians follow through on it.
Well,
And it's, yeah, do you have something to say,
well, I
Mike?
was gonna say it's like it seems a little suspicious, right? Like why would he do that? It's not generally to his advantage.
You need to know what I think it is. From what I'm observing on the political side of Mark Carney, I think he is trying to appear a little more honest. He's a hair away from having a majority liberal government. If he doesn't convince a few NDP to switch party, then he's got to try to show that he works with all parties, and he might convince over a few voters to the liberal side and get that majority in the next election, because that's coming, so I don't know what to say. Pierre Poilievre, though, he is going to have a seat, you guys, and we just made a video on whether or not that guy should actually still be the leader or Conservatives give him the boot. Do we think that this is still a good thing for the PC party? Because you know what? Maybe those small town mayors might like having the big time federal leader in their riding. But is it actually good? Has he run the ropes and done his time in the federal system? And should he be out of here still, guys? Do we still think what we thought about before? Do we think he should stay?
I think he's gonna stay, and I don't see any reason why he shouldn't.
Well, you know what? I've noticed Andrew Scheer, and who was the other guy? Tim. I'm 21.
What?
O'Toole. That's the guy I'm thinking about. Aaron O'Toole. Yeah.
Aaron O'Toole.
Yeah. Tim the Toolman Taylor. That's what's
Tim
going on in
the
my head.
Tool. Okay, home improvement.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I know what you're saying.
Both of those guys left their party like within a few months after they lost federal elections. So
Andrew Scheer.
Andrew Scheer. Both of them were like a month or a few months at least after.
He didn't leave the party.
Or not leave the party, leave the leadership. Thank you for the correction there.
Well, I think that, I like Andrew Scheer. I don't think he was a strong leader, but I think he's a great MP and he does a good job of...
did a good job against David Cochrane recently.
He did.
On the
definitely.
CBC.
He's a good hype man for the party. I think they definitely should keep having him out there talking to the reporters, and he makes some good videos on YouTube that explain things well. So I think that's a role he fills really well, and they should keep doing that. And they might even be able to, they can have him do more of the quote unquote attack dog thing that Pierre is being accused of, and let Pierre sort of back off from that role and become, a little bit more of a sign of hope, I guess, for the country. And Aaron O'Toole, well, you know what happened there. The guy just turned into a big old liberal.
He was a blue light or whatever they call him.
I don't know what that was. Anyways, that's what
light conservatives and light beer ain't good.
Those guys didn't have like I don't think they had the same leadership quality and staying power that Pierre has, and like the following that he's building. And he increased the number of seats, he increased the number of votes and the share of the popular vote.
All good points.
Well, maybe he didn't achieve the main goal yet. He's still working towards it. And I think as we've heard before, he's got to finish his story.
Well, it's been a while since I've gone over and asked the common man what he thinks about this.
Stop calling him common.
Loser conservative guy losing in the election. Michael Lee, tell us, please, what is your opinion of a guy running for election and then just staying on as leader? Like, do you think that Canadians are going to buy into him the next time, or that they should actually have a new guy run the party, try for the big seat?
I think they may eventually buy into him.
You do?
Yeah.
And enlighten us why you think that.
I believed in a lot of things that Poilievre had to say. I really felt like he was going to do a lot of good things for Canada. When it comes to the home crisis and comes to our deficits, or comes to our budgets, comes to all that, I thought he had a lot of really good things to say. And I think that how close they got this year with the election, like what was it? Like a 3 or 4% difference.
It was like 2.
Yeah. So there you go. I think that it's going to be. I think Canada is going more conservative. I think this whole Trump thing, unfortunately, did kind of swing this election to go more liberal, unfortunately. And I think if Trump didn't interfere the way he did, I think we would have more of a conservative government right now. But because of what happened, it went liberal. And I think that whenever the next election comes up again, you're going to see Canada go conservative. And I think that a lot of people were actually believing in what Poilievre had to say and was wanting to see change in Canada, wanting to see the difference the Conservative Party could make, especially after Trudeau left, and just wanted some kind of new, fresh start. And unfortunately, we're still here.
Are still here.
I think Michael Lee's summation of this is exactly accurate, and this goes to one additional point that Adam was kind of leading to. The Conservative numbers went up in the seats in the House of Commons. The Conservative vote share went up, Unfortunately, all the rest of the lefties died and went, or not died, but
died.
All the lefty parties died, basically, and they went off to
we would have regroup. A conservative government.
Yeah. So the thing I'm saying here is it could be a couple of years before we get the next election. We don't really know. Yeah. Minority governments and all that. It's flip a coin whenever you think it's going to happen, right? Because there's no predicting that. The thing here is the metrics have shown another increase, you guys, and that increase is the Conservative vote in millennials and Gen Z. Anybody young, even in some of the Gen Xers, is astronomically higher. It was mostly boomers, and I've said it before. We want to keep some of the boomers around, but unfortunately, time will just take us all, and it's going to take those boomers first. And they were the ones that were over 50-something% choosing to vote a liberal. The upcoming generations have been voting conservative, and that's only going to mean more conservative voters if that trend sticks for the future. The next election might have even more conservative people voting for them. And Michael Lee was great to say, you know what, people were buying into that message, and Trump interfered with it too. And I firmly believe that's accurate. So I think without Trump around the next time around, you know what? As I started off this podcast saying, the best thing that ever happened to Mark Carney is Donald Trump. That is what he said today, Tuesday, on the meeting that Carney and Trump had. And you know what? Donald Trump is probably right. I know you guys are upset for me to say that, but once in a while, everybody is. And you know what? That's how it is. Poilievre, you guys, I think he's going to stay on, and he'll probably keep the conservative confidence, because at the end of the day, it's on all of the conservatives in the party that have memberships to decide whether or not they want to keep their leader. So, you know what? Speaking of Poilievre. his by-election is coming up. There's one other story that affects him again.
Yeah, he's gonna have, before he can go and fight for the leadership and for the betterment of Canada and the younger generation.
He has to deal with something. What is it called, Adam?
The longest ballot group.
Michael Lee,
they're back again.
Tell us about this
in
one.
POG form.
In what? POG form?
In POG form. I'm showing how old I am, okay? Leave me alone. You know what? You got it, so you're old too.
It took me a second, but that's funny. All right, so the longest ballot group takes aim at by-election where Polyev plans to run.
Tell us about
Here
this.
we are again.
Yeah, look, there's Polyev.
They took over the last riding he was. 91 people were on his ballot.
And now they want to have 200.
Tell us what article are we reading from today?
Oh, this is coming from, this is MSN News?
Okay.
Canadian Press?
Yeah, I think it's Canadian Press.
Yeah, the Canadian Press. The group that added dozens of candidates to the ballot in Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre's riding in the recent federal election is planning to do the same in the upcoming by-election. Poilievre is expected to seek a seat in the House of Commons for the Alberta riding of Battle River Crowfoot after losing his long-held seat of Carleton to the Liberals on April 28th. Oh yeah, here's a name again. Damien Carrick, who was re-elected in Battle River Crowfoot for the third time last week, has pledged to step aside so Poilievre can run there in his place.
Yeah, I mean, the longest ballot initiative, you guys, is some kind of activist group that tries to get as many names on the ballot as possible. I heard today that they are trying to get, like, their normal goal is to get 200 names on a ballot. Just they apparently they were going to do this against Mark Carney and Pierre, because they were in adjoining ridings, you know, the Nepean and Carleton Place. So they were trying to get it on both. They say these brothers that are running this the longest ballot initiative. But they never managed to have enough time, Adam, to get it on the Liberal side. So,
but now they have time to do it again. So basically, they're just a bunch of Liberals, and we'll call it what it is. Yeah, and they're just trying to interfere in the election. So, hopefully, no one pays them any attention, and this kind of just fades away. This is just a big pain in the ass.
Well, and you know what I recently discovered? That the brothers that are starting this initiative are from a beautiful city called Winnipeg. So apparently,
that's not great.
If I find out where they are, I'll have a talk with them. I'll say, you guys aren't doing this right. You guys aren't being Canadian and civil. That is what I will do. Because it's just not right to have all these people that don't have any intention of running for the office and actually having the Canadian citizens' ideas and some kind of agenda in mind, you know, on the ballot. Like, why are you wasting your breath and energy doing that, right? You know what I'm saying,
wasting
guys?
A lot of people's time and discouraging people from going out and dealing with voting and whatnot. So it's like, just don't do this. Don't do it.
It's not a good method, you know. We should.
No one appreciates it.
We should start getting upset about this all as a Canadian. Like, if you want to be on the ballot, you gotta be there for a reason. You're representing a party that has an ideology, or you're representing an independent cause in your riding. I don't want to see this kind of stuff, this kind of activism. It ruins the political sphere for everybody, and I don't like it. You know what? And I'm gonna complain about it. And if you guys like this kind of thing, you're getting into dirty politics, you might as well just go and join Donald Trump down there in America, where the elephants and donkeys just kick each other all the time every 2 years. Really, you guys. On to our last topic of the night. I want to bring up another leader.
Another one.
Yeah. Bye-bye, Jagmeet Singh, and hello to the new NDP guy. Who is he going to be? That's the big question.
Is it Wab Kinew?
That is the question. There's a couple of names that are running, and we here in Manitoba have a decent enough premier. I don't know what he's really accomplished. As Adam told me earlier, he's at least accomplished not offending everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's good enough to be a decent premier, I guess.
I mean, as a politician, that's quite a feat.
Michael Lee, tell us the story. Bring it up, please.
He didn't even have to have his elbows up.
I know. Not even,
No more elbows up.
Nope. So 1 week after Canada's election, Manitoba Premier addresses decimation of federal NDP.
Yep. They were decimated.
They were decimated pretty badly. 1 week after the federal New Democrat Party lost most of its seats as well as its leader, Manitoba's NDP Premier expressed disappointment in the party showing, but said he has no interest in replacing Jagmeet Singh.
There you go. Apparently, that's all you need to know. This guy has been the premier for
Prime Minister of Manitoba.
Yeah, the premier for about a year and a bit, and he doesn't want to enter federal politics. So that means obviously he's lying. He is just hiding it from Manitoba. He wants the job, right, guys?
I don't think so. Would you want that job? That party is that's a mess over there.
He's already part of the NDP. He doesn't care about that. He has a different belief. I think, regardless of whether he wants it or not, you guys, that's pure speculation.
He could get it.
That's the question I have. Should he get it? Should he take it? Should he leave? Should he even leave the premier's office to run for this election?
I wouldn't, but that's just me. I don't know. I guess I wouldn't really have a lot to do with the NDP most of the time. So, I don't know. I don't think he will. I think right now, Premier of Manitoba is probably a more desirable job than dealing with that totally wrecked party that has no money and a bunch of debt and no MPs and. Just all their voters have gone and voted Liberal, and they're hanging out with Mark Carney now. So I can't see, it's a big job. And he's just kind of coasting along as the Premier of Manitoba, being, they keep telling us how popular he is, and he doesn't seem like he has to do a whole lot, and things are going okay for him. So I don't know. I don't see why you'd want to trade one for the other. Maybe not right now, anyways.
You know what? That's a good point, Adam. I mean, he might like this job a lot, but you know what? I don't know. Every time I watch politics, it seems like they're always going for the top job. The federal system is always higher than the state or provincial system, and they're always like, I want to get in on that. So I wouldn't put it past him that he might try it. Like you're saying, the party is pretty wrecked, and most of those left voters have gone to the Liberal Party, and maybe the Liberal Party stays strong. But you know what? It's better if you're on the right to encourage some decent leader to come in and take a hold of the NDP.
I'll tell you that he would be able to draw a lot of their vote back for sure.
And I mean, it might be a healthy ambition as a new Democrat to actually have that in mind as a goal. To rebuild the party. He might look at that. You know what? I don't look at it very much, but you know what? He could be the first Anishinaabe prime minister if he helps that party out, and good on him. So you know what? Maybe that's something that he'll have in mind, because he's already taken the top job here for the politics in Manitoba. I don't know why he wouldn't try it, guys. I'd be in favor of it. There's only one other guy that really could take it, and that's the former 3-time mayor of Calgary.
Nenshi.
Nahid. I think his name is Nahid.
Probably, I think so.
I always call him Nenshi. So I can't get his first name right.
That's okay. We know who he is.
Yeah, some of us do. Us political nerds know who he is.
Yeah, well, we're a bunch of losers.
But he's from Alberta, so you know what? Bring on another Albertan into the party to help the federal system. Regain that Alberta vote. That might be a good thing for the NDP too. I don't really know. Either way, is my opinion, and I'm giving you.
All those parties would have Albertan leaders, just except the Bloc Québécois, I guess.
That's how it should go. Well, Alberta maybe should lead the country. I don't know. It's just my suggestion, guys.
Lead? You said lead the country, right?
Lead it, baby.
Not leave the country. We don't really want them to leave.
Some of them want to leave, Adam.
I know.
Do you want to talk about that one more time before we let out this podcast?
Sure. What are we going to say about it?
It's a good question. It has been coming up a lot in the news, and we haven't talked about it specifically because, you know what? I don't know what to say about it. It's something that, I sometimes say to those people in Alberta, go ahead and get it done. Make it happen. Let's see what happens, because you know what? Quebec's all talk about
Do
it.
we want them to leave us behind?
It's not about if we want them to leave it or not. It's about it's about politicians being all talk. I always say they break promises and they do all talk, and now Alberta's talking about leaving. Just actually make it happen and prove us wrong. Prove the rest of Canada wrong and show us that you know how to run an actual country, because you're talking about separation and it's a lot of effort to get that done. And I say make it happen, because you know what? Why not? If you guys want to leave, I'm not going to stand in their way. It's democracy. Democracy is where it's at. You know what? Do you guys actually think that that this is going to actually take hold bigger than it is right now, or is this just a bunch of whining about their guy not getting into the leadership of Canada?
I think you're just being really extreme right now. Either you got to leave, or it's a bunch of whining. Like there's a middle ground.
Them, not me.
Whatever. That's just what you're saying.
I'm just saying, go for it. Try to make it happen.
Well, I'm not sure that's the best way, and I'm not sure I don't think a lot of them want to go, and I don't speak for anyone in Alberta.
Well, it's like 20% right now.
Manitoba, but that means there's like 80% that don't want to go.
Exactly.
So I think that they just, from what I'm hearing, because again, I don't want to sit here and speak for someone when I don't live there, and I live on the prairies too, and I can see how we get ignored by Eastern Canada, and maybe here in Manitoba we ask for the abuse that we get from Eastern Canada a little bit by constantly voting for these Liberals, but in Alberta they don't vote for the Liberals. They want the Conservatives, and they don't seem to get them, so they don't really get treated the way I guess they want to. And I think I think what they want is for Canada to just acknowledge the West, acknowledge the contributions of Alberta to our country, and not just keep trying to hamstring everything they do and then wag their fingers at them and tell them how they're the problem and whatnot. Like, I don't think that's too much to ask. Honestly, I understand where they're coming from. I wouldn't really want them to leave. I think they're an important part of Canada, and I think they would be a critical part of improving Canada.
They would be, Adam. But
I think Canada would be in such a worse place if they left.
And I mean, that's the point, right, that Alberta has. They think we're already getting into that worst place, and they might want some of that independence. The thing I'm asking you guys here is, do we actually think that they will move forward on this? Because we have the premier saying that she's not going to start it, but she's also taking some minor steps in the form of the referendum votes that it would be signatures that would be needed, so they're kind of making some kind of noise. Is this just trying to create leverage in the deal? Because as we know, what the art of the deal, you guys, you got to have leverage in order to be able to get something that you want. And I don't know what leverage Alberta thinks they have, unless they actually go ahead with some of the measures that would be required to actually create independence, because we'll just call their bluff. I mean, it's the same as with Canadians trying to argue with the big bad Americans. They have that huge economy. How much leverage do we have? We're their largest buyer, but I mean, they still have other options.
Well, I don't think 20% is like, this is going to happen. I think right now it's some saber rattling to essentially be like, pay attention over here, because we'll do this if you force us to. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But the point is, they're trying to get the attention of Eastern Canada and let them know that they're serious.
And that's why I started this discussion off by saying, just make it happen, guys, because nobody is believing you. We're calling your bluff.
But you're coming across as just get out of here. Who cares? That's how you're coming across.
Yeah, I'm intentionally antagonizing the Albertans, because
well,
what?
Then you're gonna have no friends left. It'll be you and a bunch of liberals.
I know they don't even like me. But the question,
that's what I'm saying.
The question is though, like, there's a lot of things that have to get done, you guys. Like, you have to decide on a constitution. You got to decide on a police force. You're gonna have to basically decide on a lot of the deals that you're gonna have to make with the Indigenous communities and the treaties that you'll have to decide how to honor. There's like, what else? Like, there's monetary issues you would have to figure out. Like, there's healthcare spending. You have to get out of the the CPP and do like Quebec did. They have the QPP, right? And they have their own police force. So Quebec is ahead of you on this initiative. You guys, with your inability to have any leverage in the system, is making us in the rest of Canada say, let's just call it a bluff. You ain't gonna do it. And as much as I love Canada and I love the direction that it should go, I wouldn't argue with Alberta and the way that they want to run the country. And I've said it. Maybe they should be the leaders, but you know what? They got to figure out a different way. Maybe Adam, have you heard this suggestion? Because there's a little bit of discussion about the way the seat distribution is between the Maritimes.
I've heard this.
And Alberta. Alberta's got about 4 million people, more so than like Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island and New Brunswick and all those places, And the fact is, if you looked at GDP of Alberta versus all those other places, it's astronomically more in Alberta. So the question becomes, maybe reform in the elections in Canada governance. Like maybe we tied GDP to how seat distribution actually occurs, because it's obviously not fair if a smaller population of people have about the equal number of seats as Alberta,
Or you just redistribute it more based on population instead of bringing GDP into it.
They don't even do that first. Yeah.
Well,
these are all options.
That's where I think you should start. And we should also look at the Senate if we're going to insist on having one. Alberta doesn't get as many senators. So, yeah, I think there's definitely some redistribution that needs to be done. Maybe.
I like the idea of GDP being added to the discussion on how it distributes the political spectrum, because you know what, that matters. The way Canada actually distributes its money could be a reflection. If you show a province that has a greater understanding of how the economics work, why not give them a more substantial part of the vote? Because obviously they are doing a better job at providing for Canadians. What's to say?
I don't know. I guess there's a lot of options.
I know. Electoral reform, it could be a thing, guys. I don't think it's going to happen, because I don't even know if liberals and conservatives can actually work together, or if we're starting to be a nation that's completely partisan. I don't know where it's at, you guys. What do you think?
It's pretty partisan right now.
I know. We'll see if the Prime Minister and the Conservatives can work together, but time will tell, you guys. On that note, I'd like to thank everyone for watching Leak Spec. If you made it this far, please share this with another person on make our channel great, you guys, because we are just giving you our opinions, and I would love to hear yours. Comment down below and share this. Bye, guys.
See you next week.
See ya.